Hello, everybody. It is Joe. It is the golden hour with Joe Neely, but it is not the golden hour. I had a profound experience that I'm just learning to absorb right now, and that has made me a little late. It's almost dark now. Let me see if this contrast thing helps. Maybe not. When I hit that button, the phone puts a little yellow box on my nose, or wherever. I just find my nose to be in the center of the screen. But regardless, I'll speak with you in the light that we have. I did my meditation with trees again today with 3 different teachers. The third teacher was a different one. I couldn't find the one that I had gone to that I had called the Kraken. And instead I went to a different one that I have not named. If anything, it reminds me of that place where Luke Skywalker climbs down into the roots and Yoda tells him, you only take in there what you bring with you. It was a place like that. It was a place where a large tree had fallen down, and there was a kind of a cave area, smallish, where the roots were exposed. And I sat in there for a while and faced the roots and meditated. I had done some question and answer stuff with the previous 2 that I told you about yesterday. And with this one, I also had a bit of a conversation. As I've said, projecting yourself onto other things, or just accepting that you and other things are one, is a way to kind of get your personality and your personas out, to project yourself out on the world and have a conversation with parts of yourself you may not normally speak with, at least not that plainly. And I recommend that you do so. I also recommend that you explore. When the urge told me to go that way instead of to the Kraken tree, okay. This was much more intense. I'm still dealing with some of the emotions that it's brought up. I had a thought that the emotions that were brought up by all this were not created today, and that I've created very few negative emotions today, and I'm releasing some from previous days. And it's a way to let go of old patterns, old beliefs, old ways of programming, ways of being, negative emotions. We feel that we have to feel that way. We feel that that's the right way to be, and they may have been true at one point, but it isn't true now. It's a lot of letting go of old programming in our minds. So, I'm going to offer you this technique. What I like to do is take my hands, remember I can only show you one hand because I'm holding a phone, and go back as far as I can with hands and with my neck, leaning my neck back on the pad behind it. If you can see that, I'm kind of leaning back here, letting my arms go. I'm going to do it now just briefly, so if the video goes wacky, that's why. But this is a great pose for releasing emotion. Putting your arms to the sky as the trees do, and leaning back as far as you can comfortably. This pose has a wonderful blend of 2 things. It blends There isn't much light here. um, this pose blends letting yourself go. As you bend backwards, you can let go of your neck, or you can let go of other muscles. At the same point, other muscles are working very hard to keep you up from falling over on your butt. So I find that this is a really good way to release. Another one is forward fold, just leaning forward, not doing what I do sometimes and trying to have incredible success, is just doing a forward fold without any judgment of how far down you go, and letting that forward fold be everything you need it to be. Of course, in yoga, we always do a forward and a backwards. We always do a left and a right. We always balance both sides of our body. That being said, I should probably find out what the counter pose for tree pose is, because I certainly do a lot of it. But I'm releasing a lot of emotion right now. And this emotion wasn't created today. This is the emotion from the past that I'm letting go of, so that I can have more success, so that I can function in more interesting and strange and fascinating and beautiful environments. All of this is happening for a reason, to get me closer and closer to the wonderful future I've envisioned for myself, and the even more wonderful future that I breathed into myself when I spoke with that third tree, when I looked into the roots, when I asked myself what I would like to do before I died. I'm not dead yet. I will be someday, just like this tree, but I'm not dead yet. What would I like? What would I most want to have? I can list off certain experiences and certain things I'd like to acquire and do, and relationships I'd like to have, and all the rest. And I know those are coming. But all I could really answer with, when I, the tree, asked myself to know what I wanted to do, with however long or short the rest of my life is. And all I could say was a feeling I have when I breathed in and out. A light but substantial feeling. If it was a color, it might be gray, slate gray, like clay, or bird wings that certain pigeons have. It's one of those things where we feel deep inside of ourselves something large, and at first it only comes as a feeling, it only comes as an idea. But when we keep asking ourselves about the future, and we feel that good feeling, a strong, powerful good feeling, a lasting feeling, just grab onto it with whatever words you can, and more importantly, just breathe with it. Last, I have a thought about breathing that came to me last night after the golden hour. I was listening to Abraham Hicks while laying in the dark in my tent. And in this brief moment, I don't know, for those of you who listen to Abraham, if you're like me, where some of it goes over your head and some of it's hard to pay attention to, and then some of it really resonates. Little snippets sneak in through the cracks. Obviously the perfect ones for the perfect time. And probably building up. I do believe that they're building up a knowledge of those teachings in general that open up larger and larger swaths of it. For example, Christians may read Bible verses instead of reading the entire Bible, though eventually Christian ministers will read the entire Bible many times. I, with Abraham, hope that some of these recordings can become for me larger and larger waves of truth instead of the little snippets that I'm learning about so far. So, in the waning gold of this day, and turning around, but I don't know if there's any angle where you can see me very well. Perhaps this one if I face to the light in the west. I just think that I learned this one thing from Abraham, and it's hard to talk about because the emotional impact of that meditation session, but I learned last night from Abraham. I don't know if it's something that they said, if it was just something I thought about that was triggered by something they said, but there was an idea they were communicating about how you're never complete, how you'll never get all the way there, how life never finishes, you're always expanding, you're always doing new things, you never get to the end. And that feeling felt really true to me, especially in breath. And I was breathing that feeling that every breath was incomplete, in the sense that it wasn't finished, it wasn't a perfect breath, that there's more that I can explore within myself in the next breath. There's more I can learn from the next breath, that it's never over. That even when we breathing creatures cease, there will be much, much more to learn. So, I'm very grateful to have taken a practical lesson, from Abraham. I know there are many more in there, though oftentimes the teachings seem awful abstract. But when I take a breath in and I let it out, I say, okay, I learned something from that. I got something out of that. I released certain things while I took in that breath and let it out. But there's more on the next and more on the next. The work is never done. The work isn't supposed to be done. We're not supposed to be perfect, and we're not supposed to have it all figured out. And those thoughts of just enjoying the imperfection of every breath, that practical exercise is one I hope you will try. Whenever you're breathing, whether you're doing your counting to 10, as I've suggested, or any other kind of breathing. Getting something out of it, enjoying it, and not judging it against the perfect. All the tiny actions we have in our life could be more, could be optimized, could be what we want to call perfect. But no, that's not it. All we need to do is just be here and grow. And the more that we feel good throughout our days, and the more that we accept ourselves the way we are, the much more of those things that we want will come our way. Not through striving and hurting ourselves and judging ourselves. It's the only way to live. It's the only way to live. Accept yourself. You are perfectly imperfect, as they say. And I will say good night. My name is Joe Neely. My show is The Golden Hour. You can check me out at joeneely.net/golden hour, or just leave a comment here on YouTube. I'll speak with you tomorrow. I love you very much. Good night.